Resurrection. Everyone has heard of it. What is resurrection? The Strong's Concordance defines this word as a standing up again, taken from the root which means to stand up. This word is found 42 times in the King James New Testament, which just happens to coincide with the number of generations found in Matthew 1:17 and the number of months found in Revelation 11:2. The concept of resurrection is so important to us as believers that Paul wrote, "But if there is no resurrection of the dead, not even Christ has been raised." Paul did not say, "If Christ has not been raised from the dead, then there is no resurrection of the dead." It's the other way around. What else did Paul say about resurrection? "And if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is vain. Your faith also is vain. Moreover, we are even found to be false witnesses of God, because we testified against God that he raised Christ, whom he did not raise, if in fact the dead are not raised. For if the dead are not raised, not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, your faith is worthless. You are still in your sins." Later in this same chapter, Paul shows us in no uncertain terms just what resurrection is. "But now Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who are asleep." First fruits? Yes. The New American Standard Bible Dictionary defines this as the beginning of sacrifice, that is, the first fruit. What does this have to do with resurrection? Paul tells us. But someone will say, "How are the dead raised? And with what kind of body do they come?" You fool! That which you sow does not come to life unless it dies, and that which you sow, you do not sow the body which is to be, but a bare grain, perhaps of wheat or of something else. But God gives it a body just as he wished, and to each of the seeds a body of its own. Do you see it? Do you see that Paul's answer to how the dead are raised is explained by the principle of sowing and reaping? That which you sow does not come to life unless it dies, and the body or seed that is sown is not the body which is raised. Does this not correlate with the definition of a standing up again? Jesus said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit." Further in 1 Corinthians, Paul said this about the resurrection of the dead. "It is sown a perishable body, it is raised an imperishable body. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. If there is a natural body, there is also a spiritual body. So also it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living soul. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. However, the spiritual is not first, but the natural, then the spiritual." These passages are clear. Resurrection is the action of sowing and reaping, the planting, nurturing, and development of the life within the seed until the desired maturity and harvest is reached. In this process, the seed must die. And how does this equate to you and me in the resurrection process? Jesus followed John 12:24 with the following, "He who loves his life loses it, and he who hates his life in this world will keep it to life eternal or age during." In another gospel, Jesus said it this way, "If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? Friend, death is not the end. Rather, it is the necessary stage initiating a change of form. For what is sown must die in order for it to come to life. The resurrection of the dead is sown a natural body, but it is raised a spiritual body. If there is a natural body, there is also a spiritual body. In the process of death, change commences and the seed dissipates. As it does, the life within the seed breaks forth out of the ground in a different form. First as a small shoot, then a sapling, to eventually reach a fully mature tree that not only bears fruit but produces far more seed than the single seed which began the process. The seed is found in the fruit, so the fruit is the essential component of resurrection. No wonder Jesus said, "Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad, for the tree is known by its fruit." Might the bad tree and good tree be explained by what Paul said in the following? "But this I admit to you, that according to the way which they call a sect, I do serve the God of our fathers, believing everything that is in accordance with the law, and that is written in the prophets, having a hope in God, which these men cherish themselves, that there shall certainly be a resurrection of both the righteous and the wicked." In closing, we must ask ourselves, when does the process of resurrection begin? If it is true that it is the principle of sowing and reaping, then it begins here. Now, in each of us, for Paul was clear when he stated, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever a man sows, this he will also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal, or age-during life." Allow me to close with what Paul said immediately after. "Let us not lose heart in doing good, for in due time we will reap if we do not grow weary. So then, while we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, and especially to those who are of the household of the faith." While we have opportunity, let us do good to all people,